Cocaine Bear is a gruesome comedy thriller that watches a little like the actual experience of being on cocaine, all over the place. Irreverent and gory in moments and laugh out loud funny at times, this thing is the most fun that I've had at the movies since Endgame. Don't get me wrong, Cocaine Bear is by no means the movie that's going to heal society, but it did numb my brain for an hour and a half of outrageous bloodshed set to 1980s music, and honestly, that's enough for me to forgive what flaws it clearly does have, which I will get into. It is undeniable, though, that Cocaine Bear is bringing people back into the theaters with a B-movie premise. I went to go see this thing on opening weekend, Saturday afternoon, and it was almost sold out. Because this movie, much like its titular character, just goes for it. No pretension, no message, no modern sensibilities. Okay, now that I think about it, maybe a few, but for the most part, it's pure entertainment. As you might be able to guess, this movie is about a bear that does a lot of cocaine, which results in the cocaine bear going on a drug-fueled rampage of violent destruction. It's loosely based on a true story. You know, like the way The Woman King's based on a true story. So the bear gets all coked up because as a plane full of the stuff is being evacuated over Blood Mountain, the pilot dies while jumping out, leaving all that cocaine on the mountain with no one to immediately retrieve it. Well, not no one. The story primarily follows 5 separate groups. David, a drug trafficker tasked with retrieving the cocaine, as well as his boss's son, Eddie. Bob, a detective pursuing the source of the downed airplane, which he believes to belong to Sid, Eddie's dad, the cocaine kingpin played by Ray Liotta. Rest in peace. We also have Dee Dee and Henry, 2 kids cutting school, as well as Dee Dee's mom, Sari, who set out into the woods to look for them. Then there's Liz and Peter, the park rangers, preparing for the routine inspection, and the Duchamps gang, 3 local teenagers who get their kicks terrorizing hikers. Only a few of the groups cross paths with each other, but they all cross paths with, you guessed it, the Cocaine Bear. Each group loses members, gains members, and rearranges in some way or another as this rogues gallery of characters are served up to Cocaine Bear one by one, to varying degrees of consequence.
Why?
Cocaine Bear was entertaining and even shocking at times, but I wish it had leaned into its absurd premise even further. Honestly, I expected more mayhem out of this movie. The insanely chaotic moments of Cocaine Bear are its highest highs, and I wish I'd gotten just a little bit more. Even just adding a few extra henchmen to Ray Liotta's gang for Cocaine Bear to kill off would have gone a long way. I was a little disappointed. I expected more carnage in Cocaine Bear, especially because at times this film drags, and it's this movie's own fault. You can't promise people the Cocaine Bear and then give them 15 minutes where there's no Cocaine Bear twice. Part of this movie's problem is the pacing, and in my opinion, it really comes down to the simple fact that some of the cast are talented enough to carry a scene while others are not. Margot Martindale, Isaiah Whitlock, and Christian Convery were all major standouts for me. They each carried the scenes they were in and provided some much-needed characterization to the story. But on the other hand, you have scenes with O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Alden Ehrenreich, which feel like an actual crash on cocaine. You're just waiting for the scene to end so that you can get your next hit of the Cocaine Bear. And as far as the actual story goes, to be honest, the character Eddie could have probably been cut completely. Another thing I had a hard time getting over was the fact that Dee Dee is completely fine at the end when they find her. I wasn't expecting much thought to be put into this thing, but I at least need a scene explaining how she ended up in the Cocaine Bear's cave completely fine. Was she chased there? Did she play dead and get taken? Did she ride Cocaine Bear to it?
What are the rules? You know what I mean? Like, right.
It's one example of this movie being almost free of modern sensibilities. You see, Dee Dee is fine because little girls are awesome. End of story.
Brilliant. It's in the movie done.
Same goes for Officer Reba. She's spared because killing her is not a good look. When as far as her character goes, she's just as bad as anyone else in the movie, not to mention the fact that letting her go seems like a huge liability for Sid. And why the hell is David risking his own life to save her anyway? Do they even know each other? Ideally, I wanted to see Henry, Dee Dee, and Sari be the only ones making it out of this thing alive. I wanted a Cocaine Bear that showed no mercy. And speaking of, the Cocaine Bear itself looks terrible when shown fully on screen. It's pretty bad. Now, to the movie's credit, they make the right choice and don't actually show the Cocaine Bear all that much when it's attacking people. The Jaws method. It's great just getting to watch the actors perform as they pretend to be mauled, torn limb from limb, and eaten. It relies on actual skill from the cast as they're dragged off screaming by a cocaine bear that's off screen. Overall, though, Elizabeth Banks has done a good job with this one, and the marketing team probably deserves even more credit for its financial success. Cocaine Bear is the best advertised movie since Snakes on a Plane. Hell, it beat Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania domestically on its opening Friday by north of 350,000 while playing in 800 less theaters. This movie might be kind of a joke, but those numbers aren't. Cocaine Bear is simple and fun, even if the script isn't as tight as it probably could have been, especially considering the focused subject of this movie. It's messy and tonally shifts to some abrupt and weird places at times, and because it holds back so much, it's ultimately held back from being great. But I really enjoyed Cocaine Bear and recommend that you check it out, especially if you can see it in theaters with friends. Some movies are just better with a crowd, and Cocaine Bear proves that's still true today.